Welcome back to Wisconsin Family. We are here at Fireside Hearth and Home. And boy, it's warm here, isn't it?
It's so nice because it's so chilly outside. I love it.
You will never be cold if you walk in
relaxing by the fireplace.
through these doors. We're joined now by Chris Martingilio of Martingilio Martial Arts. Chris, it's always good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
We always learn something, and we never have anything prepared, which is kind of fun, actually.
I know, it is. We get to wing it with Chris.
We like winging it. So we're talking about responsibility and commitment, which I think is really something that parents, we were just talking before the show that parents maybe don't realize it, but through some of the things that they do with their kids, they're not really teaching responsibility and commitment. They're kind of being more enabling, if I could say that.
Yeah, that's definitely the case.
So talk about how you teach that and kind of what that looks like at Martingilio Martial Arts.
All right, so the first thing responsibility comes along with, as a parent, I'm responsible for my children's safety. Mm-hmm. I have to make a commitment then to them being at the school every week so that they can learn. Mm-hmm. So that starts with me. Mm-hmm. Then they have the responsibility of making sure they have their uniforms, their belts, water, and then there's the responsibility of the material. And each rank has a certain amount of information. Yeah. And that requires commitment, and this just keeps on going. And a lot of people will come in and they say, well, I don't care about the belts. And usually that means I really don't want to take the responsibility of the material because that might be too hard. Mm-hmm. And so I try to correct them. I said, this is part of the deal. Right. We have to be held accountable for the information. That takes responsibility and commitment.
Yeah.
Right, and it kind of goes back to that old saying about give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, teach a man to fish, he'll never go hungry. But sometimes it's counterintuitive, especially when you're dealing with your own children or children in general in a group, because your instinct, or at least mine, and I think a lot of parents out there can agree, is to just help them in that moment and fix the problem right there. But we're really not setting the stage for them to learn how to solve their own problems.
Correct. My kids went through this from day one till when they left the house. Yeah. My kids solve their own problems. Mm-hmm. I'll get a call every now and again with a little bit of advice, but they solve their own problems. Yeah. Whereas I see a lot of kids right now, and I mean kids going up into their 20s, that still don't know how to make up their own appointments for a dentist, or they're not able to understand certain processes in their life because they've never taken on the responsibility of understanding those for themselves. Right. Parents are enabling them by doing it for them. Right. So I look at this as kids all the way through adults. We need to take the responsibility. So karate is a great way to train that. Because you have to show up every week. You have to sign a contract for training. And people are like, I don't want to sign a contract. Well, it requires my commitment to be there. Right. It requires your commitment to be there. Right. And it's a major part of martial arts is about.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
And talk a little bit too about that connection between martial arts itself and teaching that discipline. Obviously there's the time commitment and just being present, but the aspect of martial arts also teaches that commitment and responsibility.
It does. Well, we have the material that's in there, but we also have then the responsibilities of self. If I've got a kid that's got a junior black belt, it's his responsibility to work with those kids that are struggling, or the yellow belts, or the new kids, a white belt. At my school, if a new kid walks in, it's their responsibility to walk up and shake hands and introduce themselves. Yeah. And it seems like a small thing, but I think it's really large thing that I shouldn't have to tell them. It's their responsibility to see that there's a new kid there and go introduce yourself.
I love that. That's such a life lesson, because so I feel like that's a sort of a dying art, is just some of those really, instinctive to probably us as adults, but movements of action to say to somebody like, hey, you're welcome here. I noticed you. Right. Yeah. And I feel like becoming less and less in schools these days because we're just not doing those simple steps to let people know that we're there and we care.
A lot of times we're here. Yep. And you see, we're not even taking the responsibility for our surroundings. We're right in our hand all day long, and you're not seeing the world. Take the responsibility to actually be engaged in life, and where else are you going to learn that? Right. School's kind of about the team effort all the time, and karate's kind of about the individual effort. But I noticed that they're kind of one and the same. We're individuals learning martial arts, but you've got a group of people that you have taken responsibility to train with, that you become lifelong friends. Right. So now I've made a commitment to people now that I've trained with for more than 20 years. Right. Yeah. And the responsibility of helping them to get better. now it trickled all the way up to this point in my life. It just didn't end when I left the house now.
Yeah, not just responsibility and commitment, but courtesy too. You're just really
exactly.
teaching courtesy.
Yeah.
And we just have a couple seconds left. Maybe this is too big of a question to answer in that time, but you talked about kids solving their own problems, and I don't think it would be fair for any parent to expect, like, if a kid's being bullied or whatever, and they don't have the tools to just solve your own problems.
No.
You're on your own. And that's kind of what you do, is you're giving kids the tools to solve their problems in that regard.
That's it. We're actually giving adults that same tool. It really is no difference in that when they start, they're seeking that. What is the tool for me to move forward with my problem solving?
Right.
And that's really all we're doing is problem solving 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So it is still a big question, but the simplest answer is yes.
Chris Martingilio from Martingilio Martial Arts. Head on down to Martingilio, go to his website, and you'll learn a lot from this man. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Don't go away. There's more Wisconsin Family coming up right after the break.